Hello, I'm Susan and welcome back to the shop. Today I'm going to be unboxing and setting up my new XTool S1 basic kit with 40 watt diode laser. I'm going to be showing you everything that's included in the basic kit, as well as how to set it up and get it ready for engraving and lasering. So if this is something you're interested in learning more about, please stick around, think about subscribing to our channel, and let's get started. That's one thing about XTool. They do a very good job of protecting their equipment when it's shipped. So you can see all the foam padding that's contained around this unit. It's nicely strapped in. They do a really good job. So let's start with the first XTool. XTool always sends a lot of their green boxes that has a lot of their equipment or user manuals and things in it. This first one contains an XTool selected with creativity. It basically shows you a lot of the materials that you're able to use on the S1, as well as some ideas for what you can create with the S1. It also comes with the user's manual for the S1. It goes through step by step everything that comes with it and how to set it up. The next thing you'll find with your basic kit is this honeycomb panel that goes in the bottom of your S1 that allows you a raised surface for when you're doing your cutting and engraving. Got all these tabs that need to be pulled off of it. This is a tape to hold the lid down, as well as our blocks over some of the buttons and switches on it to protect them. Now, once you open the cover on your S1, you'll find another box in the S1 unit itself, which contains some sample materials that XTool has provided to you that you can try out your laser. This box contains your little toolkit. It has your screwdrivers and screws into it that you'll need for setup, as well as your oil, and all your little pieces for setup. So we are going to put this aside, keep it somewhere where you can get access to it, because we're going to need it here in a few minutes to be able to set up the unit. Here's your tube that's going to be put on the back of the S1 for your exhaust fumes. As well as your hose for your air assist. And then this, if I can get this out of here, is your air assist unit that comes with it. And we're going to show you how to set that up also. That's everything in that. So let's get the foam off the back. It's your power cord. Some of your USB cables. Comes with two of them. One USBC and one regular. And then this, get this out of here, it's very well packed in here, is the 40 watt diode laser. That's all in that foam. here is your power block that actually will connect and power your unit, the S1. I believe that is everything that is coming with it, the S1. Now let's look at the footprint of this unit. A lot of times they talk about your workspace on the S1. Because the work area on the S1, the width of it is 19.6 inches and the depth is 13 inches. The height of the workspace is 42 millimeters or 1.65 inches. The max height of your workspace with risers is 133.5 millimeters or 5.25 inches. So what I want to look at is the actual footprint of the unit. When you're looking at space, you're thinking about getting one of these and you want to know exactly how much room you're going to need for it. It is 30 inches wide. It is 22 inches deep, and without the risers, it's about 7.5 inches tall. Now, one thing you do need to think about is on the back of this unit is where all the exhaust and wiring is going to be. So you're going to need an additional 4 to 6 inches on the back of this unit to be able to have room to use it. So if you're looking at 22, you're going to look at 26 to 28 inches for the depth for this unit if you're looking at a table to put it on. So just some information, unless you have a room off the table, if it's up against a wall, that's how much table space you're going to need. So just something to think about. So let's start getting this set up. First you want to remove all the plastic from the lid of the S1, and it is on the outside as well as the inside. The S1 has a large laser-safe viewing window. The coloration of the viewing window allows you to safely see your materials as they are being engraved, scored, or cut without using your safety glasses. The S1 also has a safety feature that will not allow you to operate the S1 when the viewing window is open. So it will need to be closed to be able to engrave, cut, or score. Next you want to locate the plastic toolbox that came with your S1 and remove the screwdriver within. This screwdriver is going to be used to remove the rear limit pieces on both sides of the gantry as seen here. You will also want to remove the yellow stickers on both sides. Each one has 2 screws that need to be removed. The rear limit pieces were in place to help protect the gantry during shipping, but if they're left in place, it will prevent the gantry from moving back and forth as it needs to be able to do your engraving, cutting, or scoring projects. Pull your gantry forward so that you can remove the packing material from where the laser module will be installed. Next you'll want to locate your laser module and remove it from the protective packaging that it came in. Once removed, you'll see on the left-hand side the connectivity for your wiring as well as your air assist hose. The wiring will snap into place very easily with the connector little push connector on the back side. And the air assist hose will slide over the connector on the side. Make sure that it is snug and completely up against the laser module. There's a little tab here on the back that will connect to the gantry and hold it in place, as well as two holes on the top of the laser module that will help hold the laser module to the gantry with two screws. Place your laser module in place, making sure that it is capable of moving up and down easily. Open up your toolbox and you will find your screws. Pull out two of them to use for the laser module. Make sure that each of the screws is snug, but please don't over tighten them. You will strip out the tops. Next, you'll want to locate the distance sensor in your XTool toolbox. The distance sensor will be installed on the bottom right-hand side of your laser module using the two magnets shown on the side of the distance sensor. It installs easily using the magnets and can be tested out by pushing your laser module down and up, and the distance sensor should pop out easily. Once your distance sensor has been installed, push the gantry all the way to the back of the S1 so that the honeycomb tray can be installed into the unit. The honeycomb tray will rest on top of the crumb tray at the bottom of the unit and needs to be placed all the way to the back and right of the crumb tray. Next, you will need to remove the vent cover from the back of the S1 unit. Then you will install the smoke exhaust pipe in its place using the same 4 screws from the vent cover. Once this is installed, you will then attach the smoke exhaust pipe to an air purifier or an outside vent. Next, you will need to locate the USBC cable that will connect either your computer or laptop to your S1. It goes in the second port down below your power switch on the S1. Next, you'll need to remove the key from your XTool toolbox. It goes in the USB port right below the USBC cable that you just installed for your computer. It needs to be in place so the S1 can run. You will then want to connect the tube for your air assist to the top connector on the back of your S1. You will do this by inserting the tube firmly into the top connector on the back of your machine. Your air assist can either be set to auto or can be set manually using the dial and the numbers on the right. Next, you will want to connect the black tube to the back of your air assist. Find the cable with 2 USB-C connectors, and you will want to connect this to the top port on the S1 and then to the port on the back of your air assist. The air assist will draw power directly from your S1. Next, find the power block for your S1. This and its power cable will be connected to the back of the S1 unit just below the power switch shown on the left side of the S1. Now we can turn on the S1 by hitting the power button on the back side of the unit. If the S1 won't power up, twist the red emergency stop button on the back right-hand side of the unit counterclockwise. The light should now turn on, the laser module should move, and the button on the front bottom right of the unit should illuminate. So one thing I didn't show you before is actually some of the materials that came with the material kit that they sent with the S1. This is a 3mm piece of bass plywood. It also came with a piece of 1/8" black acrylic. Came with a brown faux leather piece that you can do cuts and engraves on. It has a couple stainless steel pendants and clasps that came with. It also came with 2 3-inch rounds you can engrave in. And also, it looks like a piece of photo paper or maybe a piece of vinyl. I'm not sure until I actually get into it and peel the coating off to see what it is, but I think it might actually be a piece of vinyl. So that, and the last thing it came with was a piece of slate, a slate coaster that you can also do test engraves and try things out with. So it's a small package that they come with, but it gives you some things to play around with. So now I am going to get the XTools Creative Space hooked up to the S1. Now, I won't be doing an install of Creative Space today because I already have it installed on my laptop because I have an XTool F1 already that I use. So I'm just going to walk you through how to get it connected to the S1. I will have a link below that will show you where you can get version 2.0, and I currently have XTools Creative Space version 2.0 open on my machine. So the first thing I need to do is select a new project. As you can see, I have an XTool F1, so it thinks it wants to connect to that. What I want to do is actually get it to connect to my new S1. So let's see if we can get that connected. Has an S1 right here as an unknown. So I'm going to click on that. Says the device to be switched to differs from that in the project file, the settings of the processing mode. Okay, so we're going to switch. So now we're going to come down here and hit connect device, because this is the one that's at the top. This is the one it should connect to. So click. As you can see, it's thinking about and trying to find the XTool S1. And there it is connected. The new XTool S1 is now at the top of my screen, so it is now connected and sees my new unit. It is that simple once XCS is installed. If I want to switch back to the F1 when I'm connecting to it, all I do is come down here, click on it, and connect to it. But right now I'm going to stay connected to the S1 because that's where I want to do some a test engrave as well as a cut. So let's find something that we can engrave. I am going to find a file that is currently out on my laptop. So let's go up to here and we're going to open our project. We're going to go to XCS files. I want my B because that's the one I'm going to try and do an engrave and cut on. Okay, so currently you notice that it switched to the XTool F1 because that's where I've engraved this before. But I don't want it to engrave using the F1. I want it to engrave using the S1. That isn't complicated. All right, so let's switch back over to the S1. Going to go switch. It's as easy as that, as switching between your two devices. You'll see that the B is here, and over here it will show you some dimensions as far as the width, the height, where it's as far as an XY on your axis, and it's currently set to engrave. So what I want to do is leave it on engrave. So first thing I want to do is take my file. Where this X is on the screen is where the laser is currently positioned on the honeycomb module. So what I want to do is I want to take this and I want to drag it down to where the X is on the laser is on the honeycomb. All right, next I would like to make this a little bit bigger because I had done an engrave with this before on my F1, but for what I want this for, I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger. So I'm going to drag it and increase the size just a little bit. I'm going to recenter it. And then I think that's good. So I'm going to take this, it's already set to engrave, but I'm going to click off of it and I need to actually set the material type that we're going to be using. So we're going to come in here, processing from the base plate on the S1. You can see I have a 40-watt laser installed on it. User defined material. We want the 3mm basswood plywood. And what I'm going to do is I'm not going to give it, right here you can set the distance from the laser to the wood itself. But right now I'm going to allow the XCS to determine that itself. So I'm going to place the material under the laser. And here are two, the S1 comes with 4 of these little clamps that you can use. This portion of it is magnetic, this portion right here, the silver, and the black helps it clamp down. You can see they grab hold of each other. So what I'm going to do is just clamp it down to the honeycomb to help hold material in place. So as you can see, we have an X right now. This is the engrave area where the 40-watt laser will engrave your item as that was shown on the screen itself. So now what I'm going to do is hit this little button over here, and it is going to auto measure the distance to the wood. So let's see what it does. As you can see, the little dimensioning tool came down, and then it comes over to the side and hits the piece in the corner and then comes back out to the area where it was before. As you can see on the screen, the distance is 0.512. So it's automatically determined the distance between the laser and the piece of material that you have on the honeycomb tray. Okay, so now that I have that, I already have it set to 3mm basswood plywood. I'm going to click back on the Bumblebee, and I am going to, it's already set to engrave. As you can see, it automatically set it to power 20%, speed 250, and pass 1, because it thinks it's going to engrave. So what I want to do is I'm going to look at the easy set panel. And now you can see here, this is where they are recommending that you do your engrave. Now if you want a color that's a little bit darker, you can always come in here and look at the powers that's set at the bottom and the speeds, and you can determine the color that you want. Obviously, we don't want to be down in this area because that's showing burning. But let's click off and let's open this up a little bit so we can see it a little bit better. Let's click on one of the other just to see the color. Now you can see a little bit better what's underneath that green to see the color variation. And I think all of these look pretty good. So I'm going to leave where it's set. I'm going to leave it where it was, which is a power of 20, a speed of 250. Okay, so as I double clicked on the area, you see it goes back to the power of 20 and speed of 250, and you'll notice in the easy set panel off to the side, it automatically set the power to 20, the speed to 250, passes 1 lines per centimeter of 100.
I'm going to increase that a little bit because I want it a nice engrave on it, and I don't want to see any of the basswood plywood underneath. So I'm going to increase that a little bit. Come up to about 160. Like I said, it'll just give it a little bit denser engrave. We can close this down, and we can close this down. Okay, so I also want to do an outline of this so I can do a cut that will actually cut around the bee after it's done engraving. So we want to come down here to outline, and you notice that it's now formed a line that has gone all the way around the bee, which is what I want to see. So I don't want to add an inner outline for the bitmap, so I'm going to get rid of that. But I do like that you can set your offset distance here. It's currently set to 0.1079, which I think that's a good offset for it. I don't want it to be too far off the bee. And you can click OK. You're still on that outline, and if you look at this, it's automatically set to a processing type of score. I do not want it to score. I actually want it to cut. So it set it to 100% power automatically because it's cutting on the 3mm basswood. Its speed is 15 millimeters a second at 1 pass, which I think we're going to test it out because that's what XTool says should be able to cut through this 3mm pass basswood. So you look up here, this is a vector engrave. It is set to output. This is a toggle switch. If it's set to output, it will do an engrave, a cut, or whatever you have it set to. If you click on this and it's off, then it will do nothing. So make sure if you're having trouble getting your laser to do an engrave, that's one of the things that you want to check. Make sure that it's set to output. So let's toggle that back on. And let's look at the bee engrave. It's also set to output. So next thing we want to do is you want to do framing. It says the framing function is ready.
Next you want to do is come up to the front of the unit. There's a button here on the front of the unit right here. You want to press that, and then it will begin framing. Now, you can see the width of what it's doing. You'll notice that the X is going off of the plywood when it's doing its framing. I don't want that to happen. So that means that the cut and engrave will go off of the plywood. It's not positioned correctly. So let's move it back a little bit. And let's do framing again. We're going to hit the little button on the front. Now you can see that the plywood is actually under the area in which it's going to cut. It's probably over a little bit. I could even pull it a little bit this direction just to save a little bit of wood, and we will try it again. There we go. So that's the area that it's going to engrave in. So one thing to note with the XTool S1, whenever you are getting ready to do any type of an engrave, score, or cut, the lid needs to be down. If this protective shield or the lid is not down, it will not operate. So let's get that closed. Well, let's put my clamps back on first. Just to help hold it in place. Let's get this closed down. I have got, since I'm going to be engraving and cutting, I'm going to change my air assist from auto. I'm going to move it to maximum.
I'm going to hit the button here. It says framing completed and process. As you can see, it'll tell you where it's going to start. It's going to do the engrave first, and then it's going to cut. So here we go.
We're going to hit the button on the front, and it should get started. One thing to note, this protective shield is here for a reason. It has a nice open viewing area so you can watch what's going on when it's engraving or it's cutting or scoring, but you don't need goggles to do that. That's why the coloration of it and why it is the way it is. Now, if this is open, it will not run, because at that point in time you would need goggles, and this is just a safety feature that the S1 has.
Now, if you notice on the screen that it's showing that it's processing, estimated time is about 11 minutes. And we'll see how much time it actually takes.
Now the S1 is beginning its cut. Boy, it's now starting the cut, and boy, is that fast. As you notice, there's a lot more smoke involved with cutting than there is engraving, and that's why I have the air assist on maximum to help get rid of that smoke and help to prevent the burn, the scorch that you will see on the wood sometimes when you're cutting. Boy, is this thing fast. And it is done. I'm going to leave it run for a little bit just to help get rid of some of the excess smoke on there. This thing was completed in 10 minutes and 43 seconds. That's the engrave and the cut.
So now that it's done, let's hit OK.
So now that the smoke has cleared, I'm going to take the air assist and turn it off so we don't have to listen to that. And I'm going to lift the lid, and let's take a look at how this turned out. Look at that cut. Can you see that? That is beautiful. Now you'll see some of the wood graining coming through on it, but it did a really nice cut. You can see the edges are a little dark, but we'll be able to wipe that off with a little bit of alcohol to clean that up. But that is one beautiful engrave and cut, and that is done on the S1.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this video of the unboxing and setup of my new XTool S1 basic kit with a 40-watt diode laser. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to leave them in the comments below. If you like the video, please hit like and think about subscribing to our channel. I hope you come back soon. My next video will be on creating a material test array in XTools Creative Space version 2.0 that I will be running on my new S1. Thanks for visiting our channel and have a great day.